Well, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're joining us from. Coach Kevin Sparks here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing I'd like to do is go ahead and share my screen with you, point out some things that hopefully will be helpful. First thing I'd like to point out is that we have a Facebook group. This will pop up in screen share in a moment. We have a Facebook group that coincides with this meetup group. Just waiting for it to show up here. Hopefully it will in just a moment. There we go. And it has the same name as the meetup group. It's live Law of Attraction, Money, Wealth, and Success Training. And if you log into Facebook, go where it says search Facebook. If you start typing in live Law of Attraction, Money, Wealth, and Success Training, you will be able to find us. Okay. The other way you can find us is you can go type in directly the URL, which is up here, which is facebook.com/groups/money manifesting coach. Again, that's facebook.com/groups/money manifesting coach. So that's the other way you can come find us. So why would you want to join the Facebook group? A couple different reasons. Number one, it's a place where you can interact with us outside of the 45 minutes or so we have together each Monday through Friday. The other reason is that when we have these Zoom meetings, as long as we're able to get them recorded, typically we will have them posted within 24 to 48 hours in the group so that you can either reattend a meeting that you really liked or go watch a recording of a meeting that maybe you missed that you feel would be important to you. So for instance, what I want to share with you right now is what we are in the process of going through. So we started this meetup a week ago Monday, okay? I started one last year I think it was November 5th or whatever it was. And we went through until about March and went through a lot of different material. It was awesome. We usually had somewhere between 15, 20 people each day. I mean, it started out and it grew and it was really cool. Anyhow, we're doing essentially the same thing right now. And sometimes we're going to go through material that it only takes one day to go through. Sometimes we may choose something that it's going to take multiple days to go through. So if we're going through something that takes multiple days, again, you might want to go back and review the recordings, but definitely what you're going to want to do is probably download the material and have access to it so that if you're not able to be with us each day, you can still do some study and catching up on your own if you'd like to. We're in the process of going through a book called The Science of Getting Rich. It was written by Wallace Wattles. It was published in 1910, so it's an older book. It's a public domain work, and I happen to own it as a paperback copy. I own it on a Kindle. I own it as Audible. However, when I have material that I'm going through, if there's a free version of it available that I could show you where to get it, I like to use that free version for our discussion so that you can get a copy yourself and follow along. So what I'd like to do right now is show you where to get your own free copy, the same one that I'm using. That way it'll make it easy for you to follow along. Okay, I'm gonna go backspace. Hopefully this will come up relatively quickly to show you where I actually found this particular copy. Here we go. Hopefully it'll cooperate and bring us where it needs in a moment here. Get a sip of water while it's doing its thing. Or maybe because of the bandwidth we're using, it's not going to cooperate at this moment. Looks like it's trying to. Here we go, perfect. So all I did is I went to Google and I typed in The Science of Getting Rich PDF, okay? And then I do that with different things. If I know that they're public domain works or they're likely to be available for free, I'll type it into Google. I don't always like the first one that comes up, so I find one that I like that I think is easy to follow along. But in this scenario, the very first one that popped up, I did like, so I did choose it. It's this one right here. Probably be the same thing that pops up for you too. If not, you'll look for the one with this website and that says this, but it says Science of Getting Rich. That says dash the secret. And it comes from a website called thesecret.tv. Now, what I know about thesecret.tv is that website is owned by Rhonda Byrne. So I know it's a good website. Rhonda Byrne is actually the creator of both the movie The Secret and the book The Secret. She is actually given The Science of Getting Rich, which is the one we're going through right now. She was given a copy of that by her daughter at a time when her business was not going very well, neither were the relationships in her life. Well, her daughter gave her the book, and Rhonda read it. And as a result, this was her introduction to the law of attraction. That's not what it was called in the book, but as she started studying, she realized what it was and started studying other people and ended up getting so excited. Her business changed so much, she wanted to share with the world what it was that made that change. So she decided to create the movie and the book, The Secret. And I actually, The Science of Getting Rich for me, you might as well click on it while I'm talking to you guys. The Science of Getting Rich for me had a huge impact also. It was actually shared with me in February of 2006. I read the book and then I went to a seminar that was taught by a coach for Bob Proctor's programs. Don't know if you've heard of Bob Proctor or not, but if you have heard or haven't heard of Bob Proctor and you've seen the movie The Secret or read the book The Secret, he's highlighted heavily there. If you have heard of Bob Proctor, you probably already know about his book, You Were Born Rich, and all the other things that he does. But Bob Proctor's been around for a long time. He'll be 87 years old this July. And he was originally introduced to law of attraction and whatnot when he was just turning from age 26 to 27. So he's done that for a long time. If you're trying to get my attention through chat right now, when I'm on screen share like this, I'm typically not paying attention. We will give you the opportunity. We're going to interact and give you the opportunity to interact. We'll all be able to do that together. I set aside 10 to 15 minutes at the end so that you can share what you want to share and ask whatever questions you'd like to ask. So that'll be the time I'll come out of screen share and you guys can even come off mute and start sharing what you want to share and ask what questions you want. I'm just sharing that so you don't think I'm rude or obnoxious if you're trying to type things into chat and I'm ignoring it right now, but I'm doing it on purpose so we can go through what we do. We've done this in the past. Like I said, I did it with another group. I've been doing it now for a week and a half, and it's been working out super well. Matter of fact, you guys love the material, but sometimes what you guys like even more is the discussion we have after we've gone through the material and the question and answer period that we go through. I want to say, let me try and get us on the page that we need to be. Myself, for The Secret, it had a big impact on me too. And also, though, The Science of Getting Rich. I actually read The Science of Getting Rich and went through that seminar and training before that. I'll kind of keep it brief. What happened to me, though, the impact of that plus some additional training is I went from working 50, 60 hours a week and having a job to earning a nice six-figure income while working 15 to 20 hours a week. So that was a big turnaround for me that gave me the lifestyle I wanted because I didn't want to work so many hours and I wanted to make more money than I was making. So I jumped from a non-six-figure income up to a nice six-figure income. And instead of working 50, 60 hours a week, was able again to produce that while working 15 to 20 hours a week. So that was kind of my big impact aha moment and why I feel The Science of Getting Rich is a valuable book. And of course, the seminar and training I got helped me out a whole lot. It was actually, again, a Bob Proctor facilitator that originally trained me. And a couple of years ago, Bob's organization reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be a coach for them. And so I went ahead and got that training and have been a coach and facilitator for Bob Proctor's programs. And also since then have become independent. So that's been my full-time career for the last couple of years, is helping people understand how the laws of the universe actually function in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth in our lives and also how to reprogram the subconscious mind. So instead of fighting against you when you're trying to manifest what you want in your life, it actually works well with you. So I'm going to go ahead and blow this up. This is where we stopped yesterday, and we will take off from here into how to use the will. Now, again, reminder, the book was published in 1910. The way people wrote and spoke back in the day, of course, was a little bit different than they do today. So don't let that bother you. Take it in the spirit that it's meant. And also understand that we're on page 41 of 77. So we've gone through some material that probably has explained some things that Wallace Wattles is going to talk about even in this chapter. And I'll add commentary where I think it'll be helpful and try and get you caught up. But understand that, again, you could go back, watch the previous videos, and go back and get yourself a copy of this book and read it for yourself. So I'm going to get a sip of water. I'm going to roll with this. And then, like I said, we'll leave some time at the end for you to share what you want to share and ask whatever questions you guys would like to ask. All right. How to use the will. To go about getting rich in a scientific way, you do not try to apply your willpower to anything outside yourself. You have no right to do so anyway. It is wrong to apply your will to other men and women in order to get them to do what you wish. It is flagrantly wrong to coerce people by mental power as it is to coerce them by physical power. If compelling people by physical force to do things for you reduces them to slavery, compelling them by mental means accomplishes exactly the same thing. The only difference is in the methods. If taking things from people by physical force is robbery, then taking things by mental force is robbery also. There's no difference in principle. You have no right to use your willpower upon another person, even for his own good, for you do not know what is for his good. The science of getting rich does not require you to apply power or force to any other person in any way whatsoever. There's not the slightest necessity for doing so. Indeed, any attempt to use your will upon others will only tend to defeat your purpose. You do not need to apply your will to things in order to compel them to come to you. That would simply be trying to coerce God and would be foolish and useless as well as irreverent. You do not have to compel God to give you good things any more than you have to use your willpower to make the sun rise. You do not have to use your willpower to conquer an unfriendly deity or to make stubborn and rebellious forces do your bidding. Substance is friendly to you and more anxious to give you what you want than you are to get it. Now, let me stop there for a second, because some of you, if this is your first day, we need to get you caught up on this. You're going to hear him talk about substance, formless substance, thinking stuff and whatnot. So let me just give you the definition in our terms of what that means. It means matter, M-A-T-T-E-R, or energy. Matter and energy are essentially the same thing. So what do I mean by matter? Matter. My phone right here, it is made out of energy. My hat is made out of energy. My shirt's made out of energy. My physical arm is made out of energy. What happens if you get a high enough powered microscope and you look at all the things I just pointed out and bring it to its smallest part, you will see that everything is actually made out of the same stuff. Okay? What you might not be aware of is through your thought, you actually send out a vibration. And what happens is that stuff actually responds to your vibration. Okay, we'll keep it there for a moment. Your thought creates vibration. And what do I mean by that? And how do you know what vibration you're in? If you're feeling good right now, pretty simple, you're in a good vibration. What does that mean? You are actually impressing upon this substance a vibration that you want good to come to you. If you're feeling bad, right, it's your thought that created that bad feeling in some way or form. What you're impressing upon substance, unfortunately, even though that's not what you want, is you're sending a signal that you want more bad to come to you. All the substance does is mirror back to you that which you put out. And what you put out comes from your thought. Your thought creates that vibration. That vibration is impressed upon the substance, and the substance's purpose out there, what it wants to do for us, is mirror back to us that which we're putting out. Okay. Substance is friendly to you. See, it's not against you. It wants to give you what you want. But based upon the thoughts you have and the vibration you're putting out, actually it's going to determine what comes your way. Okay. Substance is friendly to you and is more anxious to give you what you want than you are to get it, because that's its purpose. To get rich, you need only to use your willpower upon yourself. That's what the will is for. When you know what to think and do, then you must use your will to compel yourself to think and do the right things. That is the legitimate use of the will in getting you what you want, to use it in holding yourself to the right course. Use your will to keep yourself thinking and acting in the certain way. So that's another thing we need to talk about for a moment. Certain way, let's define that. Certain way means understanding how the laws of the universe function, not just law of attraction. There's more to it than the law of attraction. And in a future time, we'll go through that. Okay. But there are laws that govern what happens in the universe. And there are multiple laws that govern the money and wealth that we receive in our life. So if we're obeying those laws, we are doing things in a certain way. If we're disobeying those laws, even if we're not doing it on purpose, but we're doing it accidentally, then we're not going to end up with what we want. Okay. Think of a little child. If they were to crawl up onto a chair in the kitchen and they climb up onto the countertop. Now there's nobody watching this child, right? To pull them off and say, don't do that. So this child climbs up on the chair, climbs up on the countertop. It's a little toddler. I mean, they don't speak, they crawl, they don't walk yet. And they start going across, let's say it's an island type countertop, and they're crawling across. If they go far enough, they're going to crawl off the end of the countertop, right? And what is going to happen? The law of gravity, which is a law, is going to come into play here, and that child is going to fall. And depending on what the child lands on and how the child lands is probably going to determine what kind of harm comes to the child. Now, did the child go crawling off the counter thinking this is going to be awesome? I'm just going to go crawl across this thing because I want to hurt myself. Absolutely not. What happened is the child wasn't aware of what the consequence would be from crawling off the side. Has no idea about the law of gravity. Doesn't matter. Disobey it, child gets hurt. Obey it, child wouldn't have gotten hurt. Okay. That's the same thing with the laws of the universe governing manifesting more money and wealth in your life. So that's part of doing things in a certain way. Well, there's one other part of that too, and that is related to your subconscious mind. Okay. You could be following the laws the best you know how, but if your subconscious mind has a program in it that's in opposition to what you're trying to accomplish, your subconscious mind is going to sabotage you. It's going to put out vibrations to the universe that basically say, give the opposite of what this person wants and create chaos. So you may be striving to have what you want. You may even feel that you understand law of attraction and the other laws. But if at a subconscious level, your subconscious programming does not accept that, until you change those programs, it's going to get in your way. Now, the cool thing is once your subconscious mind has been changed and reprogrammed for what you want, it actually aligns with God in the universe to help bring you what you want, and it helps move heaven and earth to make sure that you do get what you want. So your subconscious mind can turn out to be your greatest friend or your greatest enemy, depending on what's been programmed into it. Now, the nice thing about it is if you have programs that are in there that are in opposition to what you really want your life to be like, the subconscious mind is capable of being reprogrammed to bring you what you want. Okay? Do not try to project your will or thoughts or your mind out into space to act on things or people. Keep your mind at home. It can accomplish more there than anywhere else. Okay? And that doesn't mean inside your house. Okay? Keep it with you. Use your mind to form a mental image of what you want, and to hold that vision with faith and purpose. And use your will to keep your mind working in the right way. The more steady and continuous your faith and purpose, the more rapidly you will get rich, because you will make only positive impressions upon the substance, and you will not neutralize or offset them by negative impressions. Just a moment, I'm going to get a sip of water. Okay, let's see. Use your mind. I may have just read this. I'll do it again if I did. Okay. Use your mind to form a mental image of what you want and to hold that vision with faith and purpose, and use your will to keep your mind working in the right way. The more steady and continuous your faith and purpose, the more rapidly you will get rich, because you will make only positive impressions upon substance, and you will not neutralize or offset them by negative impressions. The picture of your desires, held with faith and purpose, is taken up by the formless and permeates it to great distances throughout the universe, for all I know. As this impression spreads, all things are set moving toward its realization. Every living thing, every inanimate thing, and the things yet uncreated are stirred toward bringing into being that which you want. All forces begin to be exerted in that direction. All things begin to move toward you. The minds of people everywhere are influenced toward doing the things necessary to the fulfilling of your desires, and they work for you unconsciously. But you can check all this by starting a negative impression in the formless substance. Doubt or unbelief is as certain to start a movement away from you as faith and purpose are to start one toward you. It is by not understanding this that most people who try to make use of mental science in getting rich make their failure. Every hour and moment you spend in giving heed to doubts and fears, every hour you spend in worry, every hour in which your soul is possessed by unbelief, sets a current away from you in the whole domain of intelligent substance. All the promises are unto them that believe, and unto them only. Notice how insistent Jesus was upon this point of belief, and now you know the reason why. Since belief is all important, it behooves you to guard your thoughts. And as your beliefs will be shaped to a very great extent by the things you observe and think about, it is important that you should command your attention. And here will come into you, and here the will comes into use. For it is by your will that you determine upon the things your attention shall be fixed. If you want to become rich, you must not make a study of poverty. Things are not brought into being by thinking about their opposites. Health is never to be attained by studying disease and thinking about disease. Righteousness is not to be promoted by studying sin and thinking about sin. And no one ever got rich by studying poverty and thinking about poverty. Medicine, as a science of disease, has increased disease. Religion, as a science of sin, has promoted sin. And economics, as a study of poverty, will fill the world with wretchedness and want. Do not talk about poverty. Do not investigate it or concern yourself with it. Never mind what its causes are, you have nothing to do with them. What concerns you is the cure. Do not spend your time in charitable work or charity movements. All charity tends to perpetuate the wretchedness it aims to eradicate. Now he's going to go a little more in depth here, so don't freak out if you love helping charity. I do not say that you should be hard-hearted or unkind and refuse to hear the cry of need. Here's the important part. But you must not try to eradicate, you must not try to eradicate poverty in any of the conventional ways. The reason is they're not going to work because people are thinking about poverty. You keep people thinking about poverty, they will stay in poverty. You take other people that aren't in poverty and all they start thinking about is poverty, and they're going to end up in poverty too. Put poverty behind you and put all that pertains to it behind you and make good. Get rich. That's the best way you can help the poor. Okay. The best way you can help them, again, is to get rich. And you cannot hold the mental image, which is to make you rich, if you fill your mind with pictures of poverty. Do not read books or papers which give circumstantial accounts of the wretchedness of the tenement dwellers, of the horrors of child labor, and so on. Do not read anything which fills your mind with gloomy images of want and suffering. Why? Because that is going to put you in a vibration, that vibration is going to emanate out into the formless substance. And the formless substance purpose is to go to bring that to you and mirror it back to you. So don't put anything in your mind that you don't want to actually show up. Not that things show up always instantaneously, but again, if you don't want it to show up in your reality, don't let it go into your mind. That's the safest thing for you. Instead, choose to focus on what you want, and that's what you put in your mind. And you cannot help the poor in the least by knowing about these things. The widespread knowledge of them does not tend at all to do away with poverty. I mean, people have known forever, okay? It hasn't worked. What tends to do away with poverty is not getting not the getting of pictures of poverty into your mind, but getting pictures of wealth into the minds of the poor. Think of all the people that have built schools in impoverished countries and helped them actually gain an education. And I'm not saying that education is the whole way to do this either, but here's what you want to understand. That education, what they were putting into their mind, said, oh, there's something better than what I'm doing right now. The problem with our education system is it puts us in the middle class, which middle class is barely above poverty in this day and age. What tends to do away with poverty is not getting pictures of poverty in your mind, but getting pictures of wealth into the minds of the poor. You're not deserting the poor in their misery when you refuse to allow your mind to be filled with pictures of that misery. It's not going to help them at all if you do anyway, okay? Poverty can be done away with, not by increasing the number of well-to-do people who think about poverty, but by increasing the number of poor people with purpose, or who purpose with faith to get rich. Again, we'll have our Q&A session in a little bit, okay? Poverty can be done away with, not by, okay, here we go. Got off track. The poor do not need charity, they need inspiration. Charity only sends them a loaf of bread to keep them alive in their wretchedness, or gives them an entertainment to make them forget for an hour or two. And not saying that that's not bad, it's just not going to eradicate poverty. People do need to eat, all right? And we do want to relieve suffering. But if all we're doing is giving them something to eat, relieve suffering, something to eat, relieve suffering, they're not going to come out of poverty. They need to get images in their mind. They need to have thoughts of a better life. They don't have thoughts of a better life, and all they do is see what's around them, they will continue to live the way they've been living. So you're not going to help them out all that much, and you'll have to take care of them forever, versus getting them to think about what it is that they really want, showing them that it's possible to have what they really want, and showing in yourself that you've already gone down the path of applying these laws. So you've been manifesting things that you want. You can help them out. They could see you as inspiration. They can follow what you do and learn for themselves how that they can change their life. Okay. So if you want to help the poor, demonstrate to them that they can become rich. Prove it by getting rich yourself. The only way in which poverty will ever be banished from this world is by getting a large and constantly increasing number of people to practice the teachings in this book. People must be taught to become rich by creation, not by competition. Every man who becomes rich by competition throws down behind him the ladder by which he rises and keeps others down. But every man who gets rich by creation opens a way for thousands to follow him and inspires them to do so. You're not showing a hardness of heart or an unfeeling disposition when you refuse to pity poverty, see poverty, read about poverty, or think and talk about it, or to listen to those who do talk about it. Use your willpower to keep your mind off the subject of poverty and to keep it fixed with faith and purpose on the vision of what you want. Okay. And the will is so important in the process of manifesting what you want that Wallace Wattles actually does an additional chapter on that, but we're not going to go through that today because we want to leave time for you guys to share and to ask questions. So we're going to come out of screen share right now. And let me explain what we're going to do. Okay. This is your opportunity right now to ask whatever questions you want to ask, share whatever you like to share. So let me tell you what's appropriate. Okay. Somebody didn't quite get that yesterday, but they're no longer with us either. What is appropriate is anything. So sharing what you want to share, anything in relationship to what you learned today and we went over today. Maybe something that was an aha for you, something that helped you, maybe reminded you of something you felt you already knew, something you learned. Or you can share about anything. Since we've been doing this since a week ago Monday, you can share in relationship to anything else that we've done that has come up that you would like to share, that you've learned some ahas. Maybe you've already gone and applied some of the things that we suggested and you have something to share with us. The other thing that would be appropriate to share would be anything that you purposely, intentionally decided that you wanted, that you feel that you used the law of attraction to manifest and it actually showed up for you. That would be awesome to hear about that, okay? And what you did and how that happened. Okay, questions. What are appropriate questions? Well, anything related to the material we just went through today, anything related to the material we've gone through in the last week and a half, and or anything in relationship to adding more money and wealth into your life. That's all fair game, okay? So what you'll do at this point is don't raise hands and hit chat buttons and things like that, please. What I would like you to do is take yourself off mute and start sharing what you want to share or ask whatever question you want to ask. Now, if two of you start to do that at the exact same time, we'll try and figure who went first and let them go and then let the next person come in right behind. But those are the things that would be appropriate. Let me also say this, that use this time for get your questions answered, okay? We essentially have about 10 minutes left for what I would call the class, right? The 45 minutes that says on Meetup. And at that point in time, if you need to go, obviously you're welcome to go. Nobody's holding you hostage. I might hang out another 5 or 10 minutes if the questions and, if we're still interacting with each other, I'll probably stick around.
Your recording has reached the maximum length. To replay your message, press 1. To delete and re-record your message.
Thank you, Shirley. You probably don't want us to hear your message.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, can I ask a question now?
Yes, you may.
Okay, so when you talked about seeing poverty pictures, and isn't it a good idea to see poverty pictures on TV, for example, when we saw people suffering from the pandemic, it was an opportunity for me to pray for them. Isn't that sending good vibes to those people? How do I know if sending good vibes from here isn't helping those people suffering in India?
Didn't say it doesn't.
Oh, well, you said you shouldn't look at poverty pictures. So I thought you meant not to look at the news or something.
Well, if I know about something, do I actually have to review it over and over and over and over and over and imprint it in my mind? Or can I pray for people that need help without actually having a pandemic come along to pray for people that need help? Why do we wait until that happens when we could do it every day?
I didn't wait until that happened, but it made me triple my prayer life.
Okay, cool. Absolutely. But again, you don't have to go searching for things to pray for. We already know they exist. But if we're actually going to help people in a general sense, not like a hurricane hits or whatever, but the people that are living in poverty from day to day to day, if we keep staring at that and looking at that, and if that's all they see, they're not going to be inspired and put out the right vibration.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
Awesome. Great question. Thank you, Shirley.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
I have a question. So I don't know if this is appropriate, but I
I'll tell
had
you if it
two
is or not.
job I had two job interviews earlier this week.
Okay.
I don't know which one is for me, and I just want to make sure I'm really and truly aligning the positive energy
Uh-huh.
and making sure I'm opening myself up so that way I could get what I want and myself on the right track. I'm excited about both of them, but
Uh-huh.
I just want to keep that positive energy going so that
Okay.
way the opportunities can come to me and everything could just fall into place after that.
Awesome. Have you been given, have they actually made the offer to hire you, or you just interviewed?
Just interviewed.
Okay. So at the moment, just keep visual. Remember what I talked about the other day, because you've been here a few times.
Yes.
And I know I talk about this pretty much every day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Stay focused on the life you want to live
Mm-hmm.
versus the job you're trying to get.
Okay.
Stay focused on your lifestyle that you want things to be like, and God in the universe can direct you to which job is going to bring you closer to what it is you want.
Okay. Because I was thinking like maybe should I envision that the particular job, like which, the job that I want. But like you said, okay, I'll just do it that way. I don't have to be specific and say, oh, I hope the radio station call me or anything like that. The specific job that I want, just leave it open.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you already intuitively feel that one particular job is going to lead you closer to the life you want to live than the other one,
Mm-hmm.
then you visualize yourself actually either receiving the offer, or better yet, visualize yourself. So once you have this job, whichever one it is, or maybe it's a different one, we don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say that it's one of these two, or you'll still have one soon, either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you got the job today, right, would you be
Mm-hmm.
pretty excited?
Yes.
Okay. So what would you naturally go do if you got the job today? Like if you literally got the phone call after we got out of this meeting, you get a text or an email or whatever, says, please give us a call. And you call them up and they say, hey, you got the job. Great.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do after that? It's for today.
I'd be
right?
very excited. Yeah.
Would you just keep it to yourself, or would you tell anybody?
I would a little while, keep it to myself. That's another thing too, is like, I don't like to really share good news right away because I don't want any bad energy.
It does. Well, sharing good news, listen to what you just said. How can sharing good news create bad energy?
Because not everyone might not be so
Yeah.
happy for you.
That part's true. So it's not the good news being shared that would create the bad energy. It's you sharing good news with someone who typically has bad energy.
Right. That's true.
Because you share good news with people with good energy, it's just going to feed into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to increase that good energy. So here's what I would do if I were you in your imagination is, if you want to focus on the lifestyle, like I said, but if you want to focus on something, more specific around the jobs right now, I would focus on the celebration that you've been offered the job. And then I would, in my mind, have the conversations that you normally would have if you were sharing with your besties with the good attitudes that you just got the job, right? And maybe even plan a party, but host the party in your head that you've already got the job, like your friends are with you because you're celebrating the job. So go in your mind into the celebration and don't worry about the job. The job will come about to match the celebration. So take the end thing that you want to have happen and go just a step beyond it. And I like that, because then it's positive emotion. We're now sharing something that happened that was good to us, or maybe even making a bigger deal out of it than we normally would. But that's cool because we're having a party. Well, all that does is bring up positive, 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 and keeps you in a good vibration anyway. So even if it's not that job, whichever one comes to you is going to be the one that's for your highest and best good and gets you closer to the lifestyle that you want to live.
Okay. I'll practice that today.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very, very, very welcome. Anybody else?
Oh, okay, go ahead.
We'll take Jure and then whoever was after Jure.
So I didn't have a question before, but something that Katrina said kind of sparked. a question that I've had for a while. When you are going through something positive, you mentioned only sharing it with, certain people, or I guess I don't know how to phrase this question.
Supportive people.
Yeah. So you need to protect, like if you have ideas or you're trying to manifest something, or you're, an opportunity's coming, you just need to be careful who you share it with. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So one of the other things I've talked about, it got talked about a couple different times, is
Okay.
the 300 list. I don't know if you heard about that or not.
Yeah, I heard about it yesterday. I haven't, wasn't on
Okay.
the first, so
And
I
then,
missed.
then another person asked a question, what to do next. So I pointed to them towards a book called It Works.
Uh-huh.
What is said in the book, there's two frames of thought here about, some people will tell you, if you have a goal, a dream, or whatever, you tell the entire world, that way you hold yourself accountable, right?
Okay.
And then you've probably also heard, don't tell anybody. So
Yes.
you got two extremes, right? So,
Uh-huh.
if you were listening to Conor McGregor, it's like, if you believe it, I want to tell everybody, and that's okay. But let me give you my personal advice is, I would tell nobody until I know that person would be supportive of it. And I don't know for sure until, I'm around them at the time. Also, somebody could be in a good vibe or bad vibe on any given day, right? So if somebody's
Mm-hmm.
not feeling good and they're upset, depressed, and whatever, you telling them, you think it might uplift them, but it actually probably wouldn't. At that point, it might
Yeah.
create a sense of jealousy, a sense of, well, great, your day is wonderful, but mine sucks today. So tell somebody when they're on an up about your up. That would be helpful if you're going to tell them at all. But have you ever watched the show Shark Tank?
Yes.
Okay. So in the show, The Shark Tank, those of you, I'm not going to explain the whole show. If you've seen it, you've seen it. If not, you'll get this analogy. But do they always, like when somebody comes onto Shark Tank as the creator of a business or the inventor of something, right? Do all 5 sharks on there always want to invest in that person's business?
No.
Typically not, right? On a rare occasion, all 5, will fight over it, but that's super rare.
Yeah.
Usually there's some, right? Maybe 4, maybe
Mm-hmm.
3, maybe 2, maybe only 1. Sometimes it's nobody, right? But here's what happens. They're all successful. They're all multimillionaires. You even have a billionaire on there, okay? You have all these people that have done something in their life in business that made them wealthy enough that they're on here looking to potentially invest and help other businesses. But they don't all agree with each other. Funny enough, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, why would, they don't agree necessarily what to invest in. They also don't always agree on what advice to give somebody. Like they're trying to share something helpful, and one of them shares something that they feel will be helpful, and another one goes, oh, that's crap.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so what's going on here? Look, people share from their experience and their programming. So if your programming is you got to work your butt off to make a lot of money, and when you do a startup, you're going to work 22 hours a day and sleep 2, because that's what I did to succeed. Well, if that's your thought process and you listen to that person and you truly believe what they say, you're going to program yourself so that if you want to succeed, you're going to work 22 hours to get your startup to the point where it's successful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about the person that worked part-time and their startup earned millions of dollars before they even shifted over to full-time? So
Right.
there's not a right or wrong to this stuff other than this. When you get in the right vibration and you feel good and you're aligned with God and the universe, and you're willing to take the personal inspiration, revelation, and intuition that they're willing to share with you, then you know what's right for you.
Okay.
So it's always important for you to know what's right for you. But
Okay.
in order to choose jobs and things, if you'll put yourself into a good frame of mind and then just be open to that, again, inspiration, revelation, intuition side of this, then you can calm down, chill out, and you will feel intuitively this is the path I should follow.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And then who else was trying to ask a question at about the same time?
I wanted to make a comment
Okay.
that, so it brings up my idea of affirmations. If you say the affirmation, my abundance is on its way to me all the time, aren't you changing you're changing your thought patterns that way?
Affirmations done correctly absolutely can be helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah. But just reading a string of words is not all there is to it. There's a process to doing affirmations that will be helpful versus if a person's been saying that to themselves without without the life attracted to it, do you know exactly, okay, so is it Shirley?
Mhm.
Okay. What is it that you personally are trying to attract in your life right now?
A soulmate.
A soulmate. Awesome. 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 So do you in your mind and in your heart already believe that you're together with your soulmate?
No.
That's part of why you don't have one yet. Okay. That's okay. That's not because that can work. So what do you do on a regular basis to attract / find your soulmate?
Well, I tried dating websites, but that didn't go so well.
Okay.
And then I realized that I really didn't know what I wanted.
Exactly.
So I needed to formulate a picture of what I wanted.
Okay.
And then I'm a singer, so I send out vibrations by singing.
Awesome.
And this has conjured up a mate in the past.
Okay.
So I sing, and when I'm singing, I'm thinking about, my soulmate, my love coming along.
Okay.
But I'm trying to formulate a better picture of what it is I want in a soulmate,
Okay.
because that will make it more definite and more clear.
Yeah. And the more clear it becomes, then what you probably have done in the past will start working for you.
Uh-huh.
But just be open also to, okay, I've done this in the past, I've done this in the past, but what could I maybe do to augment that, right? What are some of the things you can do with that, and what I would do, and this is probably what you're doing when you're singing anyway. I mean, I'm not the singer like you, but when you watch a singer that's good and they're into what they're doing, you can tell that they're there on stage or they're singing, but they also kind of leave, right? You're in your own world a little bit, which is great. Take time to go into your own world as if you can go sing, but you could also take time to conjure this up by deciding what you want. And then in your mind, go do with that person the things you would be doing if they were already in your life. But do that in your imagination first.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll help you.
Okay. Visualizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Who else would like to share something or ask a question?
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. How are you?
I'm good. I was wondering, I love that you explained that story about Oprah and the gratitude list, because I noticed that when I have like a journal, and when I was writing in it, I was like attracting more things into my life. And then I stopped and it slowed down. So like,
Yep.
you explaining that story about Oprah, it made total sense. And now I'm wondering, with that list, so I write things that I'm grateful for that I currently have physically.
Yeah.
But is it also okay to write down things that you want to manifest? Like,
Yes,
I'm grateful for this certain mic. Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
You 100% should do that. And you write them down as if it's already real.
Okay, perfect.
Right?
Thank you.
Don't use words like will, because that's in the future.
Right.
Want, that's in the future.
So I'm so grateful to have this mic, or I'm so grateful to have this car. Perfect.
Yeah,
and then a mix of what you already have.
What you already have. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're totally welcome.
Hey, Kevin, you mentioned earlier about the right and wrong way to do like the daily affirmations, right? Writing down things daily. Have you gone over
No,
the best?
no, I haven't yet, but I will say, at least I'll give you a brief best practice. The after strings of words, like I could sit here forever with zero emotion and say, I earned I'm so happy and grateful I earned $1 million. And I could even record myself saying it because we talked about that the other day. Somebody asked about that. And I can do some other things. But being a millionaire or have it, does not, for most of you guys and gals, it's not going to equate subconsciously for you because your idea of a millionaire is what you've seen on TV in the media and in movies and stuff. In other words, if you have not experienced what it's like yet, you don't know what that's like. So it does, just words aren't going to mean much to you. It'll reflect back a little bit, but what you do is you go into your imagination and you live your life in your imagination first. Now, here's a good mantra to have for yourself. Okay. I won't go into major depth on how to do it yet today, but the first thing you're going to have to do to successfully manifest on a regular basis is you're going to have to ignore your five senses. See, hear, taste, smell, and touch. You're going to have to learn to ignore those things because all those things can do is take in what's going on around you on the outside.
Okay.
That's all they can do. That's their purpose. Therefore, that's all they can do. Therefore, that's all they can put into your conscious mind, which then can go down potentially into your subconscious mind, and that becomes your programming. Matter of fact, today, that probably is your programming. Whatever's gone around you for, days, weeks, months, years, decades, that's what's been programmed into your subconscious mind. And your senses are just reinforcing that. Like if you're living in the same place you've been living for years, well, looking outside around you, all you see is where you live. If you want to live somewhere different, you're going to have to ignore reality because what is actually real became real because of your thoughts and feelings in the first place. You just didn't know it, but you were programmed to be where you are right now. So if you want to change, you're going to have to reprogram that. Well, the only way to reprogram that is you're going to have to quit reinforcing and believing in what's going on around you. You're going to have to then live in what we'll refer to as the fourth dimension. Now, don't get all funny like in a movie or something. Just it's living inside yourself. Live inside yourself and use your imagination. That's what you're going to have to do. And what you're going to have to do with your imagination is add to it decision. Like, okay, you have to absolutely decide that this is true and this is what's coming to you. And then it's got to be your intention, which is you intend to make that happen. The only difference between a little child daydreaming and what you're going to be doing is the decision behind it for it to be real and the intention behind it for it to manifest as real.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And now, Kevin, if you take this to the nth degree, then I could say it's my fault the pandemic happened because I had negative thoughts. I created the whole thing.
We collectively created it.
Yeah?
Yeah, because the majority of the world is thinking this way. If the majority of the world thought another way, it would go a different direction. I don't want you to focus on this, but let's just take since we've lived, I'm 52, okay? So I've lived long enough to where there are diseases that exist that never did, right? There's things that have happened that did not, once upon a time when I was younger, when I was 40, when I was 30, when I was 20, they weren't even there.
Right.
But the media, okay, and I don't want to get in conspiracy. Let's just say this, society, we have our five senses. We take it in through our eyes and our ears mostly when it comes to news and media and stuff like that. But we're taking things in through our five senses, and that's getting programmed into our subconscious. And our subconscious is saying, well, that must be normal. therefore that's what I'm going to bring to your life, because the subconscious mind wants to keep your life safe and protected. However, you're like, well, that's not very protective of me. My life's, I'm being abused or whatever. Well, the definition the subconscious mind gives to the word safe and protected is what's normal, but it's not the dictionary version. It's what's normal for you. So if
Yeah.
a person's in an abusive relationship and then another and another and another, that's because the subconscious mind, funny enough, thinks that's safe and protected because its definition of safe and protected is what's normal. So until the subconscious mind is convinced that that is no longer normal and you have a new normal, which is the loving, caring relationships with people that adore me and whatnot, when the subconscious mind accepts that as the new normal, then it will get you out of the pattern of attracting the abuse.
Yeah, so it's like when people say, "Oh, it's Murphy's law," and I say, "No, Murphy's law is bullshit.
There
It
you go.
doesn't,
So that's your
know,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So since that's for you, it's bullshit. For you, that's your life is different versus theirs. It's
uh-huh,
all about what it is that we believe and feel. And if we believe and feel things that bring us misery, quit believing and feeling those things. Choose a
right.
different belief.
Because you're sort of worshiping the negative. If
Yeah,
you're worship,
absolutely.
yeah,
For those of you, good way to put it, if you believe in God, what happens when we go to the negative is we're putting our faith in the negative instead of the positive, right? We're worshiping
right,
the opposite of what we want. True.
right,
Because that's where our
right,
intentions, our focus is.
right, right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh, sure. All right. Any last questions or comments for today?
Are you in LA, by the way?
Um, I'm back and forth through Phoenix and Arizona.
Okay,
Phoenix, Arizona, and the San Diego area. Right now I'm in Phoenix. Well, not strictly Phoenix, Metro Phoenix. I'm in Gilbert
uh-huh,
today.
uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah,
Must-
hi.
I have, oh, sorry.
Okay,
Uh,
go ahead, Rich.
yeah, hi. This is Rich. Um, uh, just to comment on a few days ago, you had inquired to myself, and I believe it was also Arlo, since we had been on the call. I believe that's who it was.
Yeah, it was. Uh-huh.
Since we had been on the calls before, why we were returning, and basically, the main answer really didn't come to mind while I was on that call, and it is that it it is that when I took that short course from you,
Uh-huh.
um, we had to uh, we were given an assignment to do every day for every day for a week until the next one. So repetition and it helps ingrain the thoughts into my mind. So if I see something coming up from you, a lot of times I'll go ahead and sign up for it as well too, because I might not make it. Like for example, I think this is the first time I've made it this week, but last week I made it 2 or 3 times. The more repetition I have with it, the more that it's going to be ingrained with me, and the better I'm going to do with it.
That's awesome, Rich. Thank you. Thank you. And then somebody else had something about, who else was it? You wanted to share or ask?
I also want to ask about the gratitude list. Is it okay to say, I'm so grateful for my friendship with this person that you want to manifest, or is that not good because it's a certain person?
Well, is it a relationship like
It's just a friendship,
just a
not
friendship?
like, yeah.
They don't know you yet, or you would like, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I would love to have a friendship with Debbie Derryberry
Okay,
from class. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. Well, I don't actually think it's wrong to do that if you intuitively, now, if you feel like you're forcing something that, so here's the difference. Okay. That's a good question. And I would say it's probably fine. Here's where it would not be fine. You've had interaction with this person. They said, I hate your stinking guts. Right? And you're like, oh, they love me, they love me, they love me. You see what I'm saying there? That's you trying to use your will to change their thoughts about you. But you haven't even met each other, you can do that. And it's okay, just be open to, you know, their free will about things. But in this scenario, yeah. I mean, if you wanted to meet someone, people put out there all the time, particularly it seems like, right? They want to meet Oprah, right? So it, and I don't know how many people have stories about how they've been able to get on Oprah show or this, that, or the other. I'm not always talking about as the guest on the show, but like an audience participation or whatever. And then they get that opportunity to do whatever it is they wanted to do. And hopefully, you know, those people that they want Oprah to like them. Hopefully it works out that way. You know, if they're going to be a pain in the butt, then Oprah may not like them. But if they're open to being classy about it and being nice and not trying to, you know, dominate, and they're not being that silly fan, but they're actually someone that, you know, can add value to their life. There are people I've wanted to meet that I've had the opportunity to meet. And some of them turned into really cool relationships. And some of them, it's like, okay, we got to meet. So what I'm telling you is if this person doesn't have anything against you, and they wouldn't have any reason anyway, then yeah. If this person was like, you know, you're trying to get back with the ex, and the ex says, I want nothing to do with you, and the ex's attitude hasn't changed, you're not going to go sit there and try and do voodoo on them to get them to like you. It's just not meant to be. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you. I just figured why not just throw it out there, you know, not like stress about it, but why not just write it down?
Yeah, and you know, where maybe if you wanted to visualize it and have fun with it, one, put it on your 300 list, right? If it's not on there, do it. That's totally fine. And then the other part is wherever you think would be natural to come across them in your mind, have that, you know, go to that place and, you know, bump into them, or however you expect that you might potentially meet them, go ahead and imagine it happens. Now, whether it happens that way or not, it doesn't matter. You can still end up meeting them, but that gives you a place in your imagination. In your imagination, have a conversation that goes well. See them smiling, seeing you sharing, seeing you listening, and getting advice or whatever it is that you want from this person. Seeing this person actually go, you know what, this has been really cool. Let's do it again. You know, that there's nothing wrong with doing that, because that's going to feel good, and you're not trying to coerce this person to be your friend. You're just putting it out there that you dig who they are and you appreciate who they are, and you're not just going to take, but you're also willing to, you know, give and be of value to them.
That's so helpful. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I'm going to, well, we're 11:05, a little extra time. Is there anything that anybody feels they need to share or ask, or like you won't sleep well tonight, that I can help you with? Like it'll give you some more peace for the day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty.
Well, I was just going to say, you could meet a famous person that you think is your idol, and they may be very disappointing. They may end up being very disappointing, not at all what you thought they were.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's happened too, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think so with Oprah. I think she is who she projects. But I have met other famous people, and oh my God, I was really, really disappointed, and it ruined my admiration of them. And then I didn't enjoy their movies after that.
So I like what you said. I'm going to make a comment about that just for a second, because also what I've learned that I used to feel a lot like you did, like once I met this person, or because the way the world is now, oh, George Washington did this when he was whatever, all this, like, hey, every one of us has done stupid stuff in our life. Okay. And some of us have changed past that stuff. But the world wants to
Uh-huh.
bring up, well, back when he was 12, he
Right.
was mean to so-and-so or whatever. Okay, forget that for a second. And you guys don't have to believe the way I do from a scripture sense. Like, you don't have to be Christian or anything like that if you aren't. But I will share this. There's a character in the Bible. Okay. His name is David. And a lot of people have heard the story of David and Goliath. That story gets shared not only in church settings, but it gets shared outside of church settings about facing your giant, right?
Right.
So David did that. A lot of people have heard the story. It's inspiring. It's helped people stand up to things that they needed to. It's helped them to be brave. Da 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 da. Later on, David, when he became king, he was a pretty good king, but he made a huge, huge error in judgment and committed what God felt was a sin because he liked this other woman. He already had multiple wives, but that in their case it's how it kind of was. But there was this one person, this girl that he saw, and he lusted after her. And then what he did is he didn't go take her. She was married, but she basically told the army, because her husband was in the army, put the guy on the front lines because his chances of survival would be less, right? And then eventually this person was on the front lines, and like many of them, ended up being killed. And then David went ahead and took this person into his home and as his wife and whatnot. And God was very disappointed. Okay, and there's more to it. Most of the people, though, you just found out that look what David did. Or, David became a jerk later or whatever. Well, does that mean that we stop telling the story about David and Goliath? No, it does that actually kill everything about David and Goliath? No, everything that happened with David and Goliath is a good story. It's a good example, right? It's a good thing to do. So if we have somebody that we believed in or we liked or we followed, and later on in life they trip up, right? We don't have to kill everything about them that was good that we appreciated. But that's what the world tries to do. They try to point out that this person has done this thing, maybe many things, but they don't take into account, well, this person did some good stuff too. And it doesn't mean just because they did something bad today, that just blows up everything good they've ever done. But we as a people love to do that to others.
Yeah, my sister loves to bring up something that happened 35 years ago when there's a bunch of people around so she can embarrass me. So I learned to say, whenever she says something like that, I learned to say, gee, Mary, I don't remember that, but please forgive me if I did.
Awesome.
And she has nowhere to go then.
There you go. Very good response. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we'll continue to see you each Monday through Friday. Thanks so much.
Okay, stay cool, Kevin.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye, thank you.
Uh-huh.